Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Come on along and welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. As always, on this Monday, a cold, snowy, blustery Monday from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope you had a great weekend. Lots going on. Not for Hoosier fans, I guess, but just plenty of sports still happening as Indiana preparing to take on Illinois tomorrow. Speaking of Illinois, Iowa, what a great game that was. Illinois comes out the victor on that. Man, that was a clash of titans in the Big Ten. Don Fischer is going to join us here just a little bit. Charlie Miller is going to join us today as well. See what else we can get scared up. But, man, we're getting closer to the Super Bowl. It is cold as, man, it's snowy and cold. It's wintry out there, but I guess that's what we should expect. Hope you had a great weekend. Got the week coming up for Indiana basketball. Like I said, a big-time matchup tomorrow night with Illinois. That game, the tip time, changed until 9, if you didn't get that, which just absolutely sucks. I hate that. Man, but it is what it is. Illinois looking a lot better in their last outing against Iowa. I don't know if you guys got a chance to catch that, but man, that was a titan battle. It was certainly a game worthy of watching. I'm glad I got to catch it. It was a tournament type preview game, battling, and man, Iowa looks good though. They're developing some guys off. Let's see, somebody had a starter missing. I think they did, and then last time I checked, Indiana was still a 10 seed in Joe Lunardi's bracketology. So I'm looking at that right now. I'm trying to find where they are, and it's hard to scan across that. But the last time I saw Indiana was a 10 seed. As I continue to scan, I'm looking, and I'm not sure I see them. There they are. Got them at a 10 seed. Hey, they're in the Indianapolis region. Just a joke there. Everyone's in the Indianapolis region. Now, according to this, Joe Lunardi's bracketology, that was from January 26th. That's in the same bracket as Region 1. Region 1 means the overall champion Gonzaga. But that's just Joe Lunardi's placement. Now, normally the NCAA tournament, there is a lot of regional play put in because of that. Teams coming from – I don't think that this year that's going to matter at all. It doesn't matter where they're coming from because they're all going to the same place, basically. It'll be interesting. And plus, we talked about this, I think it was a few weeks ago. Seeding is going to come into direct play here. They're going to direct seed the top ones, top twos, top threes, on down the line. Will play the top crossover. So that'll be slightly different. Slightly more challenging. You're kind of knocking the better teams out that way, but I guess it is what it is. How was your weekend? Feel free to hit us up on the text Andy Moore Honda hotline, 812-269-6367.
You set up.
Looking forward to get the fish on here soon. What's that, Trevor? Don Fischer with us now, the voice of the Hoosiers. Don, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good, Jim. How are you?
Well, I'm just trying to stay warm right now, Don. We've been so lucky, actually. A little burst of winter has hit us here in central Indiana and is going to be here for a few days. So just trying to stay warm at the moment.
Well, we're all kind of trying to do that, to say the least.
Yeah, it's been a break. It's been kind of a weird time there's breaks. Each team, so many teams have had breaks. Indiana had one here of late because of the cancellation with the Michigan game, but now we've got a big game coming up tomorrow night. Then they change the tip time again, and I know you just have to love that 9 o'clock tip time like we do, Don.
Well, you obviously know I don't like it. I've never liked 9 o'clock tip times, and so much for my wishes, because they never adhere to mine, so I can't do anything about it. But Obviously, it is a late game for Indiana. It's even worse for Iowa. We'll have to travel home and get back at 2 or 3 in the morning when they leave. But or for Illinois, I should say. But and then, of course, they've got Iowa coming up on Sunday. I guess they got Iowa on the brain right now. But Indiana's had basically 8 or 9 days to get ready for this Illinois matchup, which, because of the Rutgers game that was lost by Indiana, and then the cancellation or the postponement, I should say, of the Michigan contest. They've had a long layoff here for the second week in a row. And basically, it boils down to this. Can this Indiana basketball team get back healthy again, number one? And then number two, can they get back to playing the kind of defense we saw in the Iowa victory rather than the kind of defense we saw in the Rutgers loss last week? And that, I'm sure, was the emphasis this week in practice, getting this team ready to go. Of course, trying to get Trey Galloway and Armand Franklin back healthy at 100% again. Whether that'll happen or not, we'll find out maybe more tonight at Inside IU Basketball with Archie Miller at 7:05 this evening. But we should hear from the coach, and we'll have a chance to find out what their status will be coming into this Illinois contest. But there's so many different things about this Indiana basketball team right now that's interesting. Number one, how about this? In the last 5 games, Indiana's hit nearly 40% from the three-point line, and that includes the 3 for 18 effort against Purdue. So you're almost at 40% from 3 as a team, which is just phenomenal in the sense that Indiana struggled mightily in that area all the way up until the last 4 or 5 ball games. So from that perspective alone, this team has made some improvement. But the defense has become the most inconsistent thing on this basketball team. They played so great against Iowa, then just a terrible effort from a performance standpoint against Rutgers, letting them get inside and then kick out for threes, and just did a bad job in that regard. And that's the thing I think that's concerning everyone, because this team has a good enough talent level to play against anybody that they deal with. And they've proven that with the Iowa win. They've also proven that they can be beaten if they're not up mentally for matchups. And the Rutgers game is proof of that. I think the Purdue game is proof of that. And Indiana struggled at home of late. So with 3 losses this year in home games, including the last 2 against Purdue and Rutgers, this Indiana basketball team has some looking in the mirror to do, and their mental side of things has got to get a lot better as they prepare for these matchups.
Absolutely, Don. And as we saw that they played against they played against Iowa, and then follow that up with not the same type of performance. But Illinois, Iowa had a great matchup over the weekend. It was a preview of Indiana's next two contests, as you pointed out, and interior play is going to be extremely important. But the shooting, that is I didn't really realize that stat that you gave, and that's very important, because if they can continue that is something that could change the fortunes for this team.
Well, there's no doubt. If you have an inside-outside presence, which Indiana certainly has the inside game with Trace Jackson-Davis and Race Thompson down low, now you knock shots down from outside and you play really good defense, this team has got all the tools to be a factor all the rest of the season. But if they continue to play so inconsistently at the defensive end, which is, I'm sure, has Archie Miller gnawing off every fingernail that he has at this juncture, it's hard to understand why they can't come into ball games. And I believe it all boils down to the intensity level that you have to set for every ball game, and it's got to be from the very outset. You cannot, and I think I've mentioned this before. Bob Knight, one of his great sayings was, the most important 5 minutes of every basketball game is the first 5 minutes of the first half and the first 5 minutes of the second half, because you set the tone for the rest of the game. You basically establish the rules with how intense you are at the defensive end of the floor in both scenarios. And if you come in with that kind of intensity, right away you establish kind of the rules to play, or how hard you're going to play, and that takes over for basically the entire contest. And that's what Indiana's missing right now, and that's a leadership issue, in my opinion, especially an internal leadership issue from the players' perspective, because coaches can only do so much to get you ready to play. You've got to do the rest of it, and right now I'm not seeing that on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I mentioned this a couple of times. Where we sit at Assembly Hall right now is on the end, and it's on the visiting team's end, and so it's a little bit biased from that end. But it just seems like so many times this season, the visiting team has brought more energy into Assembly Hall than I've seen the home team bring in, and maybe it's because they know they have to, but it just seems it's really helped them and benefited them. It seems to me from our perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious right now that if Indiana plays at home, I guess they just think automatically this is going to be an easier matchup for us, and that's how they go out there. Because I watched warm-ups this past week for the Rutgers ball game. I watched the warm-up, and I knew we were in trouble. Just watching the warm-up, I could see that they were not down to business. They were actually kind of having fun out there, getting warmed up for the game, taking some silly shots and things like that. When that happens, you almost always know that your team is not really ready to play mentally. You've got to be out there, and it's got to be businesslike from the very beginning of your warm-ups till the end of them. You can't be screwing around. You've got to get yourself ready. You should be taking shots that you struggle with, or at least shots that you know you can make, and maybe you haven't shot it as well as you should. Take those kinds of shots. Shoot free throws. Whatever the issue is that you're having, you should be working on that to get ready for this ball game. And I don't see that happening with this team, especially when they're at home.
Yeah, and it's hard to put a finger on why, too, because most times you think everyone is locked in when game time rolls around. It's just a natural phenomenon, and for that not to happen, I don't even know where to begin to ask the question of why.
Well, I think why is because you've got to have an alpha dog. You got to have an alpha dog leader out there, and I think Indiana's got a bunch of guys. They're great young men, really good people, good basketball players. But you've got to have somebody that takes the bull by the horns and says, "Quit screwing around, get yourself ready to play," and that kind of thing. That's the kind of mentality you've got to have. I don't know that there's anybody in this team, even if they have that mentality, that is capable or wants to express it to his teammates. And that's where it's got to come from. It's got to come from within. And right now, I think that's where Indiana's searching.
If I recall correctly, I think this team needs a Jamal Meeks. He was an enforcer back in the day, if I listened to Todd Leary enough.
Well, I think that's true. I don't think, and this is, Yogi Ferrell was the last, in Yogi Ferrell's senior year, he became the leader that we all anticipated he could be from the very beginning of his career. Now, granted, as a freshman, he's playing with some really good basketball players, Cody Zeller, Victor Oladipo, and Jordan Halls. They had some really good leaders on that team and guys that have been through the war, so to speak. So Yogi didn't become a leader at that point, and he probably didn't become a leader, the kind of leader that you anticipated until almost his senior year. But his senior year, he was special in that regard, and he's the last guy I've seen like that at Indiana. And I'm not trying to disparage anybody else or any of these other players, but you've got to have an alpha dog type leader out there. And right now, Indiana hasn't established that guy.
Yeah, and talking to a lot of former players, that's something that is passed down from one player to the next, from one group to the next, and for whatever reason that's been severed with this group, that hasn't been passed down to these guys to take over that position. It seems
you've got to have. I think it's a personality thing. You've got to have a personality for that, and you don't have to have necessarily just one guy that's like that. You could have a whole team of guys like that. I mean, literally, they're all ready to play, and the last thing they want to do is lose. And that's the kind of mentality you've got to have. And right now, this team, I think, and this is part of AAU basketball and all those kinds of things, the criticism of AAU playing that type of basketball, because you know you've got another game. You could play 6-8 games a weekend in these AAU tournaments. So you always know you've got another game to play, whether you win or lose. So winning doesn't mean very much. But in college basketball, it means everything. And your season depends on you having the right mentality going into every one of those games, especially in a league like the Big Ten, where you're eating your own, so to speak, because everybody's good. So you've got to have a different kind of mentality at this level. And honestly, I think because you don't have those kinds of players coming out of AAU, even in high school these days, because kids don't value winning as much as they used to because they always know they got another game to play.
Yeah, and Don, someone else brought AAU up a while back. It's kind of diffused the rivalries a little bit because these guys are playing together on these teams, and the rivalries don't mean as much as it used to. Purdue IU doesn't seem to mean as much to these guys as it used to, but it's a weird dynamic right now with the AAU system.
Well, I've always said that. I've always thought, if you're playing 50 games a year in AAU basketball and then a high school basketball season on top of that, and you don't get any break, I just think that's foolish. I think your body needs it. I think your mentality needs it. And I think those are all issues that, it's above my pay grade. It's just what I see. I'm a guy that has watched basketball for almost 60 years now, and honestly, I don't see how it benefits playing that many games when it doesn't mean anything. And AAU basketball truly doesn't mean much. The competition's tremendous. There's no question about that. But how much defense is actually taught, how much fundamentals are actually taught in AAU basketball, that's what I question.
Yeah, I really never thought about it that way, but man, that makes perfect sense, Don. It is dead on. You got the coaches show tonight. Again, what time is that? 7:05? 7:05?
Inside IU basketball, 7:05 tonight.
That's right. Make sure you tune in and then catch Don tomorrow night on the broadcast for Indiana, Illinois. The late tip, his favorite, 9 o'clock. We'll be there with you. Don't worry. I hate them too as well. But Don, I can't thank you enough, man. I appreciate you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
You bet. There's the great Don Fischer, the voice of the Hoosiers, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat. Man, talking about a lot of things that, man, I just, that AAU thing, that really has diffused. And we've talked about that before, the guys being on the same teams. Look, there's 3 guys on Indiana's team that played together, and that's what a lot of thoughts that Trey Kaufman would, of course, was coming to Indiana, but it didn't happen. But it's way different. The rivalry still means a lot to certain people, but now, yeah, I think the AAU has been a part of that, but also it's something else as well. You have to embrace that. So, but man, that's a great point. The great Don Fischer joining us. Always fun to have him. Charlie Miller is going to be with us here today. Later on, looking forward to talking to him as well. And plenty to get to. Looking forward to that. Indiana coming up. What is that game tomorrow night at night? God, they moved that tip. It was not originally a 9 o'clock tip. Did you see the Iowa-Illinois game over the weekend? Man, that was a great game. Luka Garza, 19 points. Joe Weiskamp had 19 points. Connor McCaffrey had 11 points for Iowa in a losing effort to the Illini. Grandison had 11 for Illinois. Trent Frazier, dude, went off. 24 points. DeSamu had 25 points. Where's Coburn? He only had 9. Illinois' effort was coming from the outside. So we think of them as an interior team because Coburn's so daggone massive, but Frazier was just knocking him down. I wish I could pull his stats up. Where are all those? Pull stats up. There we go. Where's Trent Frazier? 8 of 13. 4 of 9 from behind the 3-point line. He was perfect at the free throw line. Illinois, 82% at the free throw line. That's what you got to do to be a winner, man. I think it's time for a break, so we better do that. Let's hit that up. We'll come back. Plenty more to get to. We'll talk about this and a lot more. Indiana taking on Illinois tomorrow night. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by the great folks from Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. They've got a 0% sales event going on right now. That's never happened with Honda because Honda is such a special automobile, but you can get it right now, 0% APR financing. Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com. French Lake Resort and Casino is open for business. 2 beautiful hotels, indoor water park for the kids. casino for the adults. There's plenty to do. We'll be back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can.
All right. I got Rick Bozich. Yes.
Very nice.
In the next break. Yes.
So we'll have him on at 9:35 then.
He's a phone call, though, unfortunately.
That's fine. We've got it all set up for that.
Yeah, that worked fine, dude. That worked fine. Let me get his number sent to you. Do you know who Rick Bozich is?
I do actually. Back in college, I had a project where I had to connect with somebody in the industry I wanted to work in, and I actually emailed Alex and talked to him.
This is Rick Bozich.
Yeah, but I'm familiar with Rick through kind of talking.
Hall of Famer. Oh yeah, I need to talk about that. Pat 40 to the Hall of Fame.
Have you talked at all? I was trying to find the clip of it before the show, but have you talked at all about how Victor Oladipo said in that interview post game with TNT that everyone quit on him?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he said. I was wondering if you.
I had Bob Kravitz on the other day. He ripped his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Kravitz is a renowned writer. He's with The Athletic. He said, well, in the break, the folks that are listening on YouTube heard him say, fuck Victor Oladipo. I was like, oops.
Wow.
I was like, oh, hello. But that is the sentiment. He's being a dick. Wow. They offered him a max contract.
Yeah, it takes a lot for IU fans to turn on a player. I tweeted this out, but he's trying his best to get people to hate him. Really.
I've never seen an IU guy act like that. But it's not. It's that's NBA stuff. That's his people. The guy who I was talking to about it. Oh, Kravitz had talked to. It's his people. They got him into his music and his clothesline and all this crap.
Yeah, you wouldn't think he was such a high character guy at IU. You wouldn't think.
And things can change, bro. It's easy when you got people in your ear nonstop, millions and millions of dollars. I'm sure it's easy to be swayed. Oh, that's great. Now I got Rick Bozich. I can do this segment by myself. Perfect. What am I going to talk about?
22 seconds here.
Give me some good numbers stuff to talk about in this segment.
Special 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday. Leroy's Tavern also offering karaoke starting at 9 Friday and Saturday nights. A West Side tradition. Leroy's Tavern at 2659 Mount Vernon Avenue.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Bloom. Animals strike curious poses. They feel the heat between me.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat coming to you here on this Monday. A cold, blustery, snowy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend, though. Lots of good games to watch. I was just talking about that Iowa Illinois game. Went a little different than I thought. Illinois back. I thought that Illinois was kind of fading, but they did it. They can do it when they have to. I think they rose up a little bit. I think Iowa plays a little harder more often. It's going to be interesting to see who gets the championship. This Big Ten tournament's I guess it's going to happen. I've been banging the drum that it's dumb to have it, but nobody cares what I say, and it's going to happen. They need the TV money, which is fine. I'd love to see it. It'll be great. I just don't want to see teams get affected that are, you'd hate to see an Illinois team get hit with COVID crap coming out of the Big Ten tournament, or Illinois, or Iowa, or any team really, but especially a team that the Big Ten has got a shot to do some damage. But they're going to do what they're going to do, right? How's that going to work? The NCAA tournaments put all this work into, the bubble and all the protocols. Is the Big Ten just going to piggyback off of that? Which it should be easy, since they're going to have the NCAA putting things in place for them. Actually, you should be able to step right into some of the things they're going to do. But I don't know where are they going to play this thing? Lucas Oil, I guess. Now, the one good thing is, by doing it this way, it could be very easily benign. Do it in a couple places. If you're not having fans other than family members, spread it out. Keep the people away from each other as much as possible. You got the Coliseum up there, the Farmers Coliseum up on the north or the west side. Hinkle, Lucas Oil, right there. Boom, boom, boom. You could just play those games, and of course that's 3 different TV setups that they're not going to want to do, but you're going to set up for TV those spots anyway for the NCAA tournament the following week. But they're going to do what they're going to do, right? It will be interesting to see, certainly. Tom Allen continues to roll, man. He's got him his new defensive coordinator. I really think that that's going to be a tremendous hire. Forrest texted yesterday and with his record prediction, and it's not that it's not out of the ordinary, but I think Indiana is going to be special next year. Not that they weren't special this year. But I'm telling you, they've got the most returning talent in the league. This defensive coach, I like the hire. I really like the hire, and I think it's going. I think their defense is going to be better next year than it was this year, and that's saying something. And they're going to need it, because as crazy as this sounds, and this does sound crazy, I honestly believe Indiana could be 8-0 going in to the home game with Ohio State. Now, that is nuts, because that means they would have to have beaten Iowa to start the season on the road. They would have had beaten Cincinnati at home the third game in, amongst other games in between, but those would be 2 gigantic games leading up to the Ohio State game. But I don't think that there's a team better than Indiana, and going to be a team better than Indiana in the Big Ten, not with what they have coming back. I just don't. Now, they're not going to be favored when they go to Iowa, because first of all, it's Indiana and it's on the road. But I think Indiana is going to upset Iowa on the road, open the season, and shock the football world. And, brother, they're going to be a solid top 10 team then. And then 2 weeks later, you're going to have a Cincinnati team come to Bloomington. I think they win that game. And Cincinnati will be ranked. And then that's going to set Indiana off on a course. That's being very positive. But I truly believe that. I always say what I think, man. If I think it's great, I'm going to say it's great. If I think it sucks, I'm going to say it sucks. I don't meander back and forth. Some numbers for Indiana basketball to look forward to. IU is second to last in the Big Ten in rebounds per game at 34. Only Nebraska has less. That's a huge, huge problem for this team, man. Obviously, you're giving up shots when the other team's getting the rebounds. You're giving up possessions. And when your possessions aren't that efficient, that makes it worse on top of that. Al Durham leads his team with 3-point attempts with 4 per game, but he's 7th on the team in terms of efficiency shooting at 32. So now you got the wrong guy taking most of your shots. There doesn't seem to be a hierarchy or and this continues to show me why that this offense is not set in a specific direction. Because if it was, you'd be getting the shots for the guys that you want to be taking the shots. You look at Jordan Geronimo, he's 4th on the team in player efficiency rating at 13.5, but he's only averaging 6 minutes a game. Brings in another question. Why? I don't understand why these guys are not getting developed. We've seen it here of late a little bit. Christian Lander got some extra minutes, and he scored, and he did more, and he had more confidence. You got to run these guys in. They've got to get the minutes because at the end of the season, you're going to need – hell, we're at the end of the season. You need them now. You need them in these Big Ten matchups, but you need them to have confidence and ability and have honed their skills. That has been an issue. And that's on Archie Miller. I'm sorry. It is. The player development has been bad. It's been non-existent. It has, and it's got to change if Archie Miller's going to stay here. These players have got to develop. You can't just not play them because you're afraid to lose. It's not working. So these numbers kind of showed me that got to get guys in. You got to play them. You just have to, especially with the short rotation that they've got already. You're minus some guys. You don't have Joey Brunk. You don't have Parker Stewart coming in yet. I don't know that you're going to have him. It's just you got to roll the dice, man. It's like this program has just been stuck to, and he's married to it, and which in a lot of things you have to stay the course. I get that, but as long as you see progress, not seeing that progress, guys. I'm not here to bang on it, but I mean, it is what it is. If I'm saying something's not true, how about the women's team though? Notched their 800th win. I was impressed when I saw that. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of wins, man. And for a women's team that we have, and women's basketball is not exactly. It has not been the men's side. They're not known for winning, but they've got a winning record on top of that. I saw it a minute ago. It was like 800 and 600 or something. I was impressed. Bailey Hertzstein, all Big Ten first team for track. Track and field. Congratulations to them. 79-67, speaking of the women's team, they beat Michigan State over the weekend. Trevor, what was your favorite game of the weekend?
I didn't actually get to watch a ton of games this weekend.
You're no help.
Illinois. I saw a little bit of that Illinois-Iowa game that you already talked about, and that was a really good one.
That game went a little differently than I thought. Illinois played a lot better than not that I expected them to play terrible. I just thought Illinois, or Iowa, you're on the road. So, and I'll tell you another thing I've noticed. Other Big Ten teams seem to have their arenas set up in a way that is more conducive to not having fans. Like banners up so it mitigates the noise. It kind of keeps more noise on the floor. I think the fans that they do have are a little closer to the floor. I don't understand Indiana's design, the way they have people, the parents, family, and whatnot that are allowed to come. Man, they are dispersed all over that lower main section, which at Simon Scott Assembly Hall, that lower main section is gigantic. It's the bulk of the seating. Because other than that, you just have the two balconies up there. And they're all on one side, but they're all spread up and out like way. They need to get them moved down. Personally, I think move them down. You don't have to sit next to each other, but they can easily sit much closer to the court. and much closer together than they are because they were way spread out. But there's no effect from Indiana's home crowd. But these almost all of these other places have it kind of bannerized, kind of like we saw the bubble, the NBA bubble. I'm telling you, it makes it more intimate. And I really believe that would benefit Indiana. It would create more of a home atmosphere. I don't think they've done enough to help themselves with this. Now, the design of Assembly Hall is a little different, so it would be difficult in some stances. But I think there's just things that they could do to make it a little more home beneficial. In this day and age, you got to do whatever you can right now to get that advantage. We're on what's our break today, Trevor? This next break,
We got one in 3 minutes. I will say,
perfect.
did you see the end of that Oklahoma State game where Cade Cunningham hit that buzzer beater to win? Or it wasn't a buzzer beater, but it was a game-winning shot.
I did not.
He's the real deal.
Not.
6'8" point guard, potential number.
Speaking of Oklahoma State, the Big 12, how in the hell did they lose the challenge to the SEC?
I'm not. Alabama, OU had 2 starters out, right? And they still beat Alabama.
Yes. See, now that's the thing. The best team in the SEC got beat by Oklahoma, but let's see and then you got Baylor, of course. Baylor's a juggernaut. Gosh, dang it. Baylor's the best team in the country. I will take Baylor over Gonzaga. They are battle tested, and I've talked about this. They're battle tested because of playing, it's like playing in the Big Ten. Big Ten teams and the Big 12 teams are battle tested, guys. Gonzaga is not that I know they beat Michigan early in the year. Games in the beginning of the year, I don't give as much credence to. But as you go on through the year and the harder game, you continue to play harder game, you're getting iron sharpens iron. When you're playing the Gales out and these Portland State teams, as opposed to playing Texas Tech in Lubbock or playing Iowa and Iowa City, there's no way that's not different. There's no way that is not going to help when the tournament comes around. I mean, you got Texas Tech and Matt McClung. This dude is a game shot gamer. I mean, you got to have guys. You got to beef through those scenarios, and that's the thing that Gonzaga is not getting. Doesn't make their talent less. They're talented. It's just I just think it makes a difference, a huge difference. I'll be honest with you. Baylor is, man, gosh dang it, they look good. They're just tough. They play hard. They're scary. I mean, they are scary. I think it's we time to hit a break here.
Yeah, it's time for a break.
Yeah, we got to hit up Rick Bozich. Hall of Fame writer Rick Bozich is going to join us next. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by the fine folks from Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. They've got a 0% sales event going on right now. You can get 0% APR financing. That's never happened. Never happened. So if you want to get your favorite Buick, AndyMooreHonda.com, get more to your door. And the French Lick Resort and Casino is open. French Lick Hotel, West Baden Hotel. Man, those places are amazing. If you have not been there, you are missing. You don't even know. Places for the kids. You got the indoor water park. You got a casino, spas. It's a gym. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers.
Did I give you Rick Bozich's number?
Yeah, I have it. I'm about to call him. It's the 502-552, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
What am I going to talk about with Ricky B?
Hi, this is Rick Bozich of WDRB Sports. Sorry, I can't take this call right.
Well, went straight to voicemail.
I sent him a text.
Hey, Rick.
Yep, I don't know what happens. Sometimes my phone goes straight to voicemail if it doesn't recognize the number.
Gotcha. Okay, so we're gonna
Introduce yourself, Trevor. Introduce yourself, who you are, what you're doing.
Trevor, producer for the ISB show.
Okay. Hi, Trevor.
We are gonna have, so we're on break right now, and then because you're on the phone, you're not gonna hear any music or anything like that coming on, but you can just, Jim will, he'll just intro it and then he'll introduce you.
Is it just Jim?
Just Jim.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you should be able to hear Jim now.
Hey, Rick, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, sir. I appreciate you as always.
Oh, you're welcome. Are you in Bloomington?
I am. Snowy.
How's the weather? It's snowing?
Yeah, it's not snowing now. It's not. We don't have a ton here, but like we got the other day, like 5 inches when you all got your snow, and then it went away last night because it rained, and then it snowed again all night. So, but not bad, just a couple inches, just enough to make it messy or pretty.
Yeah, we just got maybe an inch. The roads aren't bad at all.
I was actually in Louisville Thursday. I had a doctor's appointment and actually spent the night in the that hotel that's right across from the Yum Center, ironically. And I open up the windows and I'm staring at the Yum Center doing the show. It was weird.
Oh, the Courtyard Marriott right there?
Yeah.
How many people are staying at hotels? I haven't stayed in a hotel for so long that I'm out of touch.
Games including USI on the GLDC Network and the Aces on the
Not a
ESPN.
lot.
Follow your favorite.
It only cost $59.
Busch Light Draft for just $1 Sunday, Monday, and Thursday, along with the daily $6 a month special, 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday. Leroy's Tavern also offering karaoke starting at 9 Friday and Saturday nights. A West Side tradition. Leroy's Tavern at 2659 Mount Vernon Avenue.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Solersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
On a bed of nails, she makes me wait, and I wait.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat coming to you here on this Monday from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Welcome in now, Hall of Fame writer Rick Bozich. Rick, how are you, sir?
Good, Jim. How are you?
Trying to stay warm, man. At least I'm not outside walking the dog, which you might be doing. I know you're a big dog walker. So how's the weather out there?
It's 30 degrees, overcast. It's just a little slick. We went to we got about 4 different parks we go to. We went to the one I call the Duck Park today. It only did 1 lap, which is about 3/4 of a mile, and too slick for me. I don't want to take a tumble.
I hear you, man. A lot. That's no fun. Speaking of tumbling, some teams have taken a tumble this year in college basketball. The Dukes and the Kentuckys. It's just been an absolutely weird season to watch those teams, although Duke is trying to come back a little bit, but just a weird college basketball season.
Yeah, I posted my weekly vote in the AP Top 25 today, and I knocked Kansas out after they got drilled by Tennessee last weekend. They've lost 4 out of 5. And the point I tried to make was there's a chance today that the Duke, Kentucky, Michigan State, and Kansas, the 4 teams that always played in the quote Champions Classic, could all be missing from the top 25 today. And I wonder when the last time that happened.
It's just crazy. And I know COVID has made a crazy year, but this is not. I don't think that has anything to do with the COVID. Or does it? It's just been what is causing all of those teams to fall off at the same time.
Yeah, I've heard the COVID stuff, and I'm not going to discount the virus. I take it seriously, like everybody should. But everybody's dealing with the same issues in terms of didn't have a lot of summer practices together, don't have fans in the stands, and things like that. So I don't know why it would affect those four schools more than any others. I think it's been a strange connection of events where one thing is at least two of them are very reliant on freshmen, and the freshman class this year, they're not the same level of dominant players as those programs like Duke and Kentucky are used to having in the past. Michigan State lost two all-conference players in Winston and Tillman, and definitely hasn't been able to replace Winston. And Kansas has had issues, I think, caused by their NCAA stuff, where some guys have either left the program or been asked to leave the program, and another transfer, Quentin Grimes, who's down there now, who's got Kelvin Sampson in the top 10. So a little bit of a variation at every school, but mainly they don't have the players they normally have.
It definitely makes a difference. And so many teams have just fallen off that we've seen, and then it allows other teams to come up. Baylor is looking, I know that Gonzaga is number one, but I think Baylor is the best team in the country. I've seen them play a lot, and golly, they are just tough.
They're tough, they're hard-nosed, they're experienced, and they're, by the end of the year, they're going to be more tested than Gonzaga. Gonzaga, I give them credit. The first 6 weeks, they scheduled aggressively. They played a lot of good teams. They wanted to play Baylor. But once they get in the conference, they're not able to do that because their conference is the same level. Whereas Baylor, most nights is playing, half the nights are playing a top 25 team, and the other teams in their league they're playing are still pretty good except for Kansas State. So I agree with you. You could definitely make the case that Baylor's the best team in the country. And what they have, and they got guards. And guards rule in college basketball, and they got older guards who don't do stupid things with the basketball. They don't turn it over. They can make shots. They're tough, and they defend like crazy. And Baylor's good. They're very good.
Well, the thing that's killing me is I know that Gonzaga's got like a 25-point margin of victory. Baylor's got a more margin victory, and they play in the Big 12. I'm like, my God, how are they doing that when you're playing teams like Texas Tech and Oklahoma State and Kansas? I don't know how they're maintaining that. They're just destroying teams, good teams.
Yeah, I mean, mental toughness, and they got guys who've been around, and Scott Drew's, if you look at Few and Drew, they're both guys who've been in charge now. I think Drew took over in 04, 05, and Few was even before that. So you got guys who have got a track record of success, who are getting veteran players. They're both good programs at attracting transfers. Both teams do a good job of getting transfers in there, and they have a system that they recruit to, and this is the fruits of their plan. They're being rewarded for sticking with their plan.
In the Big Ten, you got Michigan, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, probably the four top teams. Michigan taking a hit with this forced COVID pause. That's really got to suck for them because they were rolling. They're the top team in the Big Ten, and that's got to really hurt their momentum. And you wonder how will that hurt them going forward.
Yeah, I agree. Are they supposed to play this week or not? I saw the game was still on the schedule, but I knew it was a 14-day pause, so I don't know when they're back. But I'm a little surprised by Michigan. I didn't have them forecast to be as good as they are. I think I voted them number 4 today. But every time I watch them, they're beating somebody by 15 or 20. They've got the freshman Dickinson he's a handful. He's a very active, very, he doesn't have the body of a freshman. He has the body of an upperclassman, and he knows how to use it to his advantage. And then they added Livers is obviously a good player, but they added Sean D. Brown from Wake Forest, who's been a plus for them. So I agree. I think they're the best team in the Big Ten. And Illinois should be, the team Indiana plays tomorrow, should be the second best team because of, they have Io and obviously Kofi. But the thing, when I watch Illinois, sometimes I scratch my head that they've lost 5 games. I think they're better than that. They should be better than that.
Yeah, the game they played yesterday against Iowa is probably, I think, the game we expect more often than not. But Iowa's kind of been the second best team. I think they've been better. Obviously, they beat Illinois, but Illinois beat Iowa, but they've been better before that. They've seemed more complete. But Illinois played a great game against Iowa to win that one.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa is more fun to watch when they're looking at offense.
And how hard is that to believe that you just said that?
I refuse to go all in with Iowa because they just don't play good enough defense. And I don't think I don't like their chances to win 5 or 6 NCAA tournament games because of their inability to guard. Because when they have games like they did against Indiana, and like Bohannon even did against Illinois, where they're not making threes, and now Frederick's, kind of banged up, they're a little vulnerable.
Indiana, of course, the next game is against Illinois, then Iowa. They've got both of those teams coming in back-to-back. They've had a break. The last time they had that break, when the Michigan State game got canceled, then they had Iowa and had one of their better games, probably the best game of the season. Another break. You think that's going to help them as they take on Illinois tomorrow night?
I mean, it should, because it should help Armand Franklin be healthier. I haven't heard, and Archie's talking today with Rob Finney. I haven't heard if there's any, how much closer they are. It's probably still too soon for Joey Brunk or Parker Stewart. But, they should play better. They got to win one of these 2 games this week. I looked at bracket matrix yesterday. They're in the tournament as an 11th seed. They've got the big win against Iowa. I guess their second best win would be Stanford. But they need to add more points to their resume, because they're right there in a big scrum of teams that's still trying to get in the tournament. And these are 2 opportunities at home where they've struggled this year. Losing to Purdue at home, losing to Northwestern at home, losing to Rutgers at home, to win some of those games they should have won. So they need to get one of these 2.
Yeah, a lot of talk is Indiana not living up to what a lot of expectations for hope. But is there anything, even if they don't make the tournament, any chance that Archie Miller's in trouble this year?
I don't think so, because for a variety of reasons. But, I think it's fair to say that a lot of people who follow the program have a lot of questions, and they expected more progress at this point. And what makes it hard for him is when people look around at Chris Holtman and the other one is Brad Underwood, who've been in their programs the same amount of years that Archie's been in Indiana, and they've got top 25, top 15 teams. And you look at Juwan Howard, who took over from John Beeline, who's been there even less. I think people expect more, and they should expect more. And we'll see if they can get it going with a hot streak, the last 5 weeks of the season.
If they don't, unfortunately, he's under contract for 3 more years at 100%. I don't, and with this era of COVID, so much money lost, it's a bad time, because I don't know if they can do anything if they wanted to.
I'm not really sure. I know what the contract is. I just know that, you talk to Indiana fans. I talk to Indiana fans of all ages, from all different parts of the country. And there's a lot of pent-up frustration that they, in year 4, expected a team to, easily make the NCAA tournament, and that's not happening. And people get, they get upset. And because of the fact that they didn't make it the year before when Tom Crean was the coach, and we all know the long history of no Final Four since 2002, and no national championship since '87, and nothing better than a Sweet 16. I mean, people expect more than this program has given, and when you throw in, I think it hurts is that when you throw in what happened with football and how they delivered all these big victories, and the way they promoted themselves on social media, and it looked like sort of a fun, energizing atmosphere that's even a bigger contrast with the basketball program, and they need to figure it out.
Absolutely. I want to mention your former colleague is joining you in the Hall of Fame, the Basketball Writers Hall of Fame, Pat Forty. It's incredible. I was fortunate to grow up in Southern Indiana, and the Courier-Journal was something I grew up reading from the time I was a kid. It's one of the reasons I do what I do. But some of the great writers, you're of course one of them. Pat Forty was there when I was just out of high school, going into the Hall of Fame. I know that you're happy to see that.
Yeah, Pat is definitely a Hall of Famer. He can do it all. I call him a triple threat. He can report. He's probably the top reporter on college sports in the country, breaking a lot of stories. He can write, and he can analyze. And he's done it on 3 different national platforms, ESPN and Yahoo, and now Sports Illustrated after he was at the Courier for 17 years. And I like to remind people that young people in the business, that he started out his first 2 years at the Courier-Journal, he covered Indiana high school sports.
It's how I met him.
He did it with the same enthusiasm and completeness that he does college sports now. It was back in the days of Damon Bailey and Pat Graham, and you go back and read some of the stuff he wrote back then, it stands up today. So total respect for Pat Forty. I'm fortunate to have worked with him, and very fortunate to consider him a friend.
We're very fortunate to have you on, Rick Bozich. We appreciate you, Hall of Famer. I hope you have a great rest of your week.
All right, I hope to get up there one game and see you this year. I haven't been to a game yet. I don't think there's been a year that I haven't gone to a game. I was a freshman at IU when the place opened. They played Ball State December 1st, 1971. There hasn't been a season that I've missed. I'm going without going to one game, so I need to come up to one to keep my streak going.
Yeah, you're going to have to do that. We look forward to seeing you. Rick Bozich, Hall of Fame writer Rick Bozich, joining us from WDRB.com. Appreciate you, sir. Have a great rest of your day.
All right, thanks, Jim.
Thank you. We appreciate Rick joining us. Up next, former IU player Charlie Miller is going to join us. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat, coming to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, cold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. Food selection, all made for us daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Can you turn the commercials down for a second?
Yeah, sorry. I can't hear him with the setup with the phone.
Hey, doing well. How you doing, Jim?
Yeah, can't complain. I bet it's warmer there than it is here. We got snow here, man.
Yeah, I probably can't. I can't say it's cold then, right? I mean, it's chilly, but not Indiana chilly, right?
What you been up to?
I mean, same old, man. For me, just after really hoping the basketball world get better, one rep at a time, right? And doing my best at helping, hopefully, some former Hoosiers come and I guess make the program better. If everyone wants to talk about that.
Oh man, I need you to come up here. What landed you in Dallas? Because aren't you from Florida?
Yeah. It was a corporate opportunity.
Place to be.
It was a corporate opportunity. It was I became a sales manager. I took a promotion, and that's what got me here. But then basketball kind of came back into the forefront. Training one person led to another one, and I turned the hobby into an S corp. Right? That's kind of what it led to. Any
interactions with Cuban?
No.
Dude, you ought to.
Which is wrong. I mean, I
you ought to reach out. I bet you he would. I'm telling you, that would probably blow your world up.
Well, I mean, it definitely will, right? But I mean, and we're not online, right? We're just talking.
Well, 7 people. No, there's 7 people that can hear us.
Okay, don't matter. But like for me, I think there's a timing thing with that, right? So like,
everything
get better at getting better. That's and then if that, X's and O's are cool, but I'm really like involved and love the passion of player development holistic, because it goes from what we do for those possibly 4 years in high school, 4 years in college, and as a pro, but then being a professional person like yourself, right? And
That's a great conversation topic because I think that is lacking more than anything in the freaking in the basketball game today. Like, it's horrible.
Here's why the struggle happens across the board in college basketball. I think the focus is not on the person more than the wins and losses, therefore the comparisons and all that stuff, which is entitlement. Nothing against it. I mean, you're not going to get back 19. Look, and also what's this year to me,
with the daily 6 down the lunch special, 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m.
That means we're about 20 seconds away.
You're also offering karaoke starting at 9 Friday and Saturday nights. A West Side tradition. Leroy's Tavern at 2659 Mount Vernon Avenue.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat, here on this Monday. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by the fine folks of Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. 0% sales event going on right now. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com. French Lake Resort Casino open and waiting for you as well. Joined now by the great Charlie Miller, former Indiana basketball player. Charlie, how are you, sir?
I'm doing extremely well. How you doing, Jim?
I'm a little colder than I'm sure you are down there in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, I can't say the degree then because I think I might get some hate my way, right? So it's chilly, but I mean it's Charlie's chilly because Charlie's from Miami, Florida, and Miami, Florida's chilly might be 75, right? But
absolutely. But what else? What's been going on? What's Charlie been doing?
Well, I've dedicated my life, I say, to player development, basketball player development. So the last 11 years, that's what I've been up to, really trying to make the basketball world better, one rep at a time, as I shared with you earlier, and really work on the whole person. I mean, I think for me as a player, that's kind of what I really enjoyed, that off-season, fall, preseason, looking to come back better mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And that's kind of what I focus on year round, helping players not only develop on the court, but off the court.
And that's something that we were talking about in the break a little bit. I cannot imagine a time more that player development is just, it's taken a different direction, maybe, I guess I should say, because we're normally in seeing kids that are great shooters here and this, that's gone away. It's like, man, it's not the same. And we watch percentages go down, and player development is just something that seems like it has lacked. Everything is seemed more individualized. It just seems like the player development's not there right now.
Well, I think for me, and I'll share, several weeks ago, I was asked a question. I did a phone interview, and I was asked a question about the culture of college basketball today versus when I was coming up. And I feel one of the biggest differences is communication. I think the way we communicated, there's not a comparison for me, like we were better, they're better off now, because technology today is just more advanced, right? But there was interpersonal communication. There's relationships that were forged. Right. And I think that also goes with back when you were saying, the percentages are going down, all kind of facets. I feel also that players back in my era, we had the opportunity to optimize our skill sets, not specialize. And I think that's the difference, because the focus now is on year-round play, tournaments, AAU, club, what do you want to call it. And it's made the game more of a practice instead of you're playing to win. You're playing for these lessons of getting better game over game. Well, when there's 5 games in a weekend, how much value can you have in a game? And you're traveling. So there's almost like this sense of entitlement as well. You got young people hopping on planes, sometimes private, going around the country playing basketball as if they've arrived at the college level, pro level, right? So I think I think it's almost an entitlement as well. Well, I don't know if there's that much pride and integrity of getting better and getting better at getting better and proving it to yourself and other people.
You played in an era where and for a coach that's exactly practice was different. I mean, I talked to a lot of former players that played for Coach Knight, Todd Leary, back guys in the earliest, and it was always about perfection. Not that perfection's achievable, but when you practice perfection enough, you're going to get damn close. And it just seems like that was almost repetitive to where it was almost hard to make mistakes. But I don't know that we're seeing that same dedication to the craft today the way it was, but maybe it's different teaching points. I'm not in practice, so I don't know, but I can't imagine from what we see.
Yeah. And you know what? And I think, Jim, you know, the old saying, the more things change, the more things stay the same. I attended one practice last year when I first met you, when I went to the Penn State game. Now, this was a practice prior to a game. So, you know, you're going to see a practice that's dedicated towards scouting, Penn State's best player. You know, you're doing your best at your offensive, defensive schemes. It was a practice that flowed, right? I mean, it was awesome. And who knows, right? Because, I mean, there's so many – the thing about it that's always interested me, I had the opportunity to go to the Sweet 16 game in Washington, D.C. We played Syracuse, and this was Oladipo and Zeller's, I think, their sophomore campaign. Was that right? Sophomore, junior campaign?
Yeah, they were. That's when they were tough.
And I happened to be in the stands, right? And you know, I'm not saying I was inconspicuous, but I was listening to the fans, man, and wow, it was tough, man. Because, I mean, it was, I mean, people were dejected. I mean, like, saying things I was like, wow, I can only imagine when I was on the court, you know, what people were saying. But it's when you're on that court and when you're preparing for these things, it's a different environment. There's so many ongoings. And I can't even imagine now with the pandemic, with online classrooms, with all these elements of distraction that's probably happening. That you know, mental, you know, we're talking about mental health across the board. So, you know, good friend of mine, mentor of mine, Coach Mike Davis, they had to shut down a little bit at Detroit Mercy because of mental health. Like, some schools had to shut down their programs because, you know, players weren't just there mentally. And I can't even imagine that dynamic right now. You know, going to school, you know, getting ready for a Big Ten game, may have two, you know, in a week, scouting reports. It's a lot to handle. But that's why you were given that scholarship and opportunity.
Another thing we've seen is rivalries. AAU is kind of, in some cases, at least for Indiana, it seems to have watered down, like the Purdue rivalry, because you got a lot of guys that played together. Then they're playing. Trey Kaufman's going to Purdue now. He played with Logan Duncombe, who's coming here next year. They were on the same team. Christian Lander, it's all of them. I'm drawing Trey Galloway, Anthony Leal, all those guys. Yeah. But it's like but then the rivalry just doesn't seem the same. But I think. I will say I think the coach has to have a lot to do with that, because I know that Coach Knight just beat the rivalry into the ground, and it kept it alive.
Well, I tell you this, interesting enough. Again, we live in a top-down society, and that starts with the NBA. When you start sharing agents and trainers, well, and then it's almost like, you know, it was almost like a soap opera being released when you saw that the LeBrons of the world and the Dwayne Wades are friends. And we want them to be foes, because we saw Larry Bird and Michael Jordan compete. You saw Magic Johnson. You know, how would you dare team up, right? And there was a traditional, possibly hate because of the teams, right? They probably did things in private. We didn't know that. But I think because of the exposure of media and social media, players working together now, you know, that it's going to get watered down, right? Hey, look, going back to, not saying it's wrong, we're playing 50 to 60 games in a summer. And I'm probably playing against a top player going to Purdue, going to Minnesota 20 times. After a while, there's going to be probably some friendship. So then again, now that competitive nature of, you know, playing for Indiana and what it stands for, playing for Purdue, what it stands for, going way back to the 70s, what it stood for, the lines get blurred, right? And so, and again, as a fan, as a traditionalist fan, it's like, I don't want that. You know, my grandmother grew up on not liking because so-and-so. I totally understand it.
Yeah, I'll see that. We sure do miss the old days, or they sure are a lot more fun to watch when they're like that. The battles seem to be just this. You think of the Bob Knight and Gene Katie and all that stuff. It was just fun for everybody.
Well, I gotta tell you this story, and this is like my introduction, my freshman year, playing at Purdue. Conzo Martin shot 22 free throws. That was like something crazy, right? I mean, literally, he shot 22 free throws, not 11 and made, you know, 2. He shot 22 free throws. My introduction to that rivalry was there was a point guard they had. I'm not going to say his name. He said, I effing hate IU. And he gave me a chop right across the chest. And it was like doing a timeout, and I didn't understand it. I was like, whoa, okay. All right, I see what this is about now. And I go on to say that because we play them a couple weeks later back in Assembly Hall, and I have my freshman breakout game of 21 points and, like, you know, a crazy dunk, you know, and just because I had that hit in my mind, you know, and how lopsided the game was. Not saying it was home cooking for Purdue, but it seemed like that was home cooking, right? But that was in my mind, getting prepared that week coming up for Purdue to come play at Assembly Hall. And that hit kind of was in my mind on, you know, okay, I'm going to get this guy back, you know, and then some, right?
Absolutely. Charlie Miller sitting in with us. We got to take a break. We've got one more segment to go. Charlie, I don't know if you sit in for one more segment.
Thank you.
We'll be listening to Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios, back with Charlie Miller right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports.
Jim, I didn't even prepare to put my Indiana shirt on. It's so amazing.
Just natural.
I'm for real.
Look at you, all natural. AJ Guyton sits in with us on at this time on a Friday, and he's got his jersey behind us.
Nice.
Verdell is on Fridays as well. Verdell sits in the whole time. You know, like I asked you if you'd be able to. Is there what's a best day for you that if you were able to do that?
And what's the time frame?
Well, remember it's Eastern. We go on at 9:04 till 10:30.
So that's 8:04 to 9:30.
Yeah.
I mean, Mondays may work like this. I mean, if that's a possibility.
It is. I could probably move. I could probably move the guy that I have here on.
Yeah, Mondays. You said AJ's on Friday, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, AJ just sits in the last 30 minutes. Verdell sits in the whole time.
Okay, I mean, Mondays, Tuesday. Let's see, Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are maybe tough, but like a Monday.
Monday would probably be better because I'm good on Tuesdays. Wednesdays I'm not. Actually, Wednesday's the only day I'm not good, but I can move this guy from Monday to Wednesday.
I mean, yeah, but you know, hey, look, if you gotta, you know. If that's okay, you know, to do, then I mean, that's a possibility.
We'll talk about. Yeah, I definitely would. That would be awesome.
Yes, sir.
Can we?
How's everything going? Good.
I can't complain other than this craziness.
Yeah.
Other than basketball, I just like to. They're not going to make the tournament, man. That's going
to. Yeah, man. And you know, and again, I wanted the pulse, man. It's this time of the year is it's an interesting time, mindset, mentality wise. You know, and I just wonder what the players are going through, the coaches are going through, and you know, all you can do is hope for the best for them.
Yeah, I resisted laying it on Archie for quite a while, but I mean, I felt this way for a year. I've seen what I've seen. I've seen the same thing that we're still seeing. I've seen zero player development.
Yeah.
I've seen this, and this is what everybody says. We're seeing the same show over and over, and then let's get old and stay old. Well, that never happened. They got young and stayed young, and they're staying young. And it's like, dude, that does not work. I think that he was in the A-10, and in the A-10, it's easy to overachieve.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot overachieve in the Big Ten.
You
need $1 million.
You need horses, man.
Exactly.
Hey, what did John Wooden say? Don't kid yourself.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat here on this Monday. It's a blustery, cold Monday up in Bloomington. But fortunately, we've got Charlie Miller. He's bringing some warmth, and I don't know about any sunshine, but some warmth from down south there in Dallas.
Hey, I'm going to tell you what, Jim. You keep playing some Pet Shop Boys, man. I might bring it on, man. Hey, look.
You got to thank my man Trevor for that.
Man, I'm a music connoisseur, man.
Really?
That beat is awesome. I mean, man, I thought we were going to start dancing or something, going back to the 80s.
I love how they surprise me, man. I never know what they're going to play. They have no ones. They can do whatever they want. But I love that. I don't think we've ever had any Pep Shop Boys on here before. So.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. I'm like, where would that come from? Like, somebody like I got to talk about it. It's just out of nowhere. We just play anything. What is this stuff? What's going on, man?
Requests, whatever you need, man. We got requests, whatever you need here. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat, Charlie. What's been going on with you? What have you been doing? I know you do a lot of training and all that. How's that going? How's that been in this COVID situation for you?
Well, I tell you what, just like everybody, we were shut down here in Dallas, Texas for a while. So for me, in just Charlie Miller fashion, just trying to stay one step ahead. How can I continue to help serve the basketball community, people that know, love, and trust me? And what I started doing was I started doing things online, not necessarily the Zoom call workouts, but I've already had a digital repository of drills, philosophy, skills, and that's how I stay in contact with a lot of my players. So again, if I reflect back to when Charlie was a player, and what Charlie will want to know now, it's in this age of information, in this age of processing all this stuff, it's learning how to become really what I call an inner coach, right? I mean, you talk about player development. What sometimes is missing is a player coach on the court, right? You know the ins and outs of your teammates, the sets, the calls, the scouting teams of sport. I mean, so that's what I look to help players understand. Not necessarily saying you're end all be all, but how to make what I call spontaneous decision-making, how to prepare yourself offensively, defensively with individual skills, transfer them to offensive concepts, and to learn how to take pride in playing defense. So that's where I spend a lot of my time, really helping the player get better, because these same traits are what you're going to need off the court as well.
Players, are they different today? I think they are. I mean, it just doesn't seem – they don't seem as fundamentally sound in everything as they used to be. And it's more individual play and focusing on different. Of course, the game has changed. There's the longer 3-point shot, which didn't used to be there, period. But it's just the play seems to have become more individualized.
That's it. I mean, again, as society goes, sports goes, right? And I think, again, even I feel the 90s were the era that was kind of getting to a tipping point away from team to individual, where platforms were created and entourages were created. And again, I'm not saying this is bad. The focus just became more on, again, to me, this top-down society. It's now you have these, almost quote-unquote celebrities with thousands of followers as a high schooler, as a middle schooler. So again, it's like I have a sense of I've arrived, right? When you barely probably understand the game of basketball. I really learned how to play basketball in college. In high school, I was an athlete, which I think a lot of players are. You learn because you get the chances of understanding how to break down X's and O's. Coach Knight was very adamant on us taking notes. You prepared. I'm not saying they're not doing that today, but I did hear from one college coach was like, hey, what you did at Indiana taking notes, I can't get my guys to do. I can't get them to take notes. And I'm not saying it's just different. We all process things differently now. And I think the focus is more on, I'm going to go to Indiana for 1 or 2 years and I'm going to go overseas. I'm going to go to Indiana for 4 years. I'm going to go pro. Where you are today? Are you looking at how much better are you today than you were yesterday? What measuring stick is there? Versus, again, all about becoming this pro to make all this money for what reason? To be a pro to me is being holistic. And I think the essence is kind of taken away from that, where we're not focusing on skill development, where you can shoot the basketball, and then go play and belong on that court. You can go attack the basket. You can handle the ball both ways, being, ambidextrous. I don't know if the focus is there. I think the focus is more on play.
Yeah, I had a football coach that called that amphibious.
Yeah, hey, depends on the day. If I want to,
I'll never forget that. Well, we were running a practice, and the guy threw the ball left-handed. He said, "Oh, dang, that boy's amphibious."
Exactly, like a turtle, right?
Exactly. Oh, man. Illinois is a team that Indiana plays next tomorrow night. Have you seen Illinois play?
I have not.
Man, they just beat Iowa 80-75 over the weekend, and I thought Iowa was a better team, but as you heard, Rick Bozich was on earlier, talked about Iowa's negative as they don't play very good defense. Man, Illinois has got some weapons. And it's not just the big man, Kofi Coburn.
Mm-hmm.
It's Frazier. It can light it up from outside. Desomu, they have got a lot of talent. I don't know what Indiana can do to stop Coburn, which he's not been a big point scoring machine for them, but he's such a massive spot in the middle. You're not going to move. Indiana does not have anybody that's going to move him. Indiana's rebounding has been a horrific problem. That could be a problematic for him as well. But Illinois has got a great perimeter game, and Indiana has also struggled defensively on the perimeter. So they've got to do something.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I think from the standpoint of understanding, when you're playing a team that has a person that can command a lot of attention in the middle, and then you have players on the wing who can put the ball on the floor, who can shoot over you, you got to take pride in slowing down the ball transition. You got to take pride in making that post-entry pass tough. You're not going to stop it. You got to make it tough. Right? And if I'm scouting Illinois, if we're preparing for Illinois, I can only hear my coaches from a Coach Knight to Ron Felling, hey, make it tough, Chaz. Fake trap, get into them. Don't make it easy. Find out big man's weak spot, what shoulder. If he's right-handed, he's going to turn left shoulder. So it's all these little details for every rep. Every rep matters. Every possession matters. You have to play and be on point with that. And the game will take care of itself. You got scouting reports for that. You got film, win, loss, draw. Did you learn to now get better for that next game? So, when you got a combination like that, tough wing players, tough skill guards, a big that's commanding, you got to box out. You got to take pride in that. Everyone's below the free throw line boxing out. There's no leaking out. All 5 guys hands on deck boxing out defensively and let the fast break take care of himself.
Hopefully they can get that done because they're going to get the opportunity. A late game on top of that. How was 9 o'clock tips for you?
You know what? We typically we played it. The schedule was like it was, I believe, Tuesday, Saturday. We never had any Monday games in my day. And you had the Sundays, right? Well, you had 11 o'clock tip, sometimes 11 because it was noon. Only time I can recall a late tip-off was in Boise, where, you're playing like
a tournament or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, the Big Ten, they got these 9 o'clock tips now. Indiana playing their second one tomorrow night as they'll take on Illinois at 9. But
and I want to share this. I mean, it's almost like you have to adjust the schedule too. I'm not just giving a suggestion, right? You know, I'm coaching. You got to practice. You know, this is kind of like a best practice. When NFL teams go from the West Coast to the East Coast, they practice in those time zones, right? It's a little different, but you got to get the players acclimated to that.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll find out if they do, man. Charlie, it's been a blast. I can't wait to do this again, brother. I appreciate you so much. It's been fun. Can't wait to do this again.
Hey, man, I appreciate you always. Thanks for thinking about me, man. And I'm just hoping that everyone just continue to stay with those guys. I mean, it's tough. I know it is. Especially, again, I didn't grow up in Indiana, and I would not take anything away from that. You know, growing up in Miami, Florida, I was a diehard Dolphins fan, so I understand how you may feel, all right? Following the Dolphins, right? but my thing is stay positive. LEO, let's learn from the football team. LEO, right? Let's learn from Coach over the football team, and let's take some of that to Archie and those boys, man, because they need it.
Listen to Charlie. There's the best part of advice I think we've heard all day, man. Charlie Miller, I'm so fortunate to have him with us today. The great Don Fischer as well, and Hall of Famer Rick Bozich. So happy to have all you guys. And Charlie, I can't wait to do this again. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And everybody else out there, I hope you go out and do something nice for somebody. Please continue to wear your mask. And until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Jim.
Quicksand's got no sense of humor.